Hi, it's Michael Gilmore here from Whizbang's blog, and it's so good to be back with you once again. After being away for a little bit of time, I was dealing with some personal stuff in my life. But let me tell you, the stats I've got are unbelievable this time, and they're going to really highlight some big changes happening in the domain industry. Anyway, so don't go away. So once again, it's really good to be back here with you and to share with you about all things in the domain monetization side of the industry. There's so much that's been happening, but just before we get stuck into things, this has been my first video for about 4 weeks. Now, I've been away for that time and I've stopped doing some videos and blog posts and all that sort of stuff. So what's been happening? I had a simple little health issue I had to deal with. It's all dealt with now and I am good and much happier, that's for sure. But anyway, so without further ado, I just want to get stuck into some things and to take a look at those numbers. But before we look at the numbers, what else has been happening in my life? Well, masterclass lessons is going from strength to strength. It really is. And I must admit, it was so much happening with masterclass lessons that what I've now done is I've moved it to a completely new server, and that will be up and running in the next probably 24 hours, in fact, and that's going to be great. It's faster, it's more powerful, it's going to really be snappier as well. If you haven't done masterclass lessons on the monetization stream, it really is. It's worthwhile taking a look at. I would encourage you to do so. Done a huge amount of more development behind the scenes to help connect with those people who have been doing masterclass lessons. And we got some exciting news that will be happening shortly about that as well. So stay tuned. Park Logic, once again, going from strength to strength. We're just having one record month after another, which is a nice problem to have in this age of COVID, I must admit. Yeah, so we work with the bigger, typically anyone who's doing at least about $400 a month in domain traffic. And we work with typically the top end of the town, but we really work at extracting lots of value from that traffic. You're wondering how we do it? Take a look at masterclass lessons. So I love going through the stats, and I must admit, I've missed doing my weekly updates. So without further ado, let's take a look what's actually happening. All right then, so monetization industry update, which is super exciting. So what's going on here? When we take a look at the normalized RPM, we can see that, oh, I suddenly realized I didn't turn myself on there, huh? Yeah, you can see there that the blue line, which is the normalized RPM, is trending upwards, which is really good. Remember what a normalized RPM versus RPM? Normalized RPM is revenue divided by raw traffic times 1,000. And an RPM is revenue divided by views. So the views is filtered, raw traffic is unfiltered. So it's like taking a look at those two aspects of what's going on. All right, so next chart there, we can see the EPC and CTR. Now, I think we're actually in the process of having another breakout with the EPC. We saw a breakout, if you remember last time, we saw that there was a breakout back here, and that was it in August, July, where EPC suddenly leapt up, and that was pretty exciting, and then it fell away again. But I think we're possibility, like it's about to do a crossover again, and they do that dance. We can see that clearly if we look at just here on the trend line charts, and you can see it's kicking up there. But we'll see that probably a bit more next week, which will be good. All right, so volatility, what's going on with volatility as comparing, say, this Monday versus the previous Monday in a revenue sense. And you can see that we're actually, once again, in an upward swing. Now, the question is, where's that upward swing coming from? So let's take a look at that. So the normalized RPM growth from the base. So in other words, if the base was the 1st of January 2020, and we had the same traffic, where should we be? And we're up around about, and you can see about 160%. So we're up 60% of January. So overall, what that's saying is that COVID-19 has been good as people have flocked online. That's really what's driven a lot of this. So there's been an improvement in overall normalized RPM. So it's been quite considerable. Okay, so where's this traffic all going? And we can see, remember when I last left you, I suggested that there was a beginning of a trend downward for Google, that Google was losing the revenue sort of split between Google and Red, which is a direct advertisers, that split. And it's continued to trend downwards. So that means direct advertisers are winning more of the revenue. Now, the next chart is interesting and you can see that this is a percentage of traffic now, it's been split, and Google it's basically flat for those periods. Although direct advertisers are paying more for the traffic, they're not getting more of the traffic. And the interesting thing would be is to actually divide it up into what buckets is like quality of traffic or market vertical and all that sort of stuff. Maybe that's for another time. So this is the graph that I love. This is the one I really hang out for. This chart here, we can see that this is the normalized RPM for red, which is direct advertising networks, and blue, which is Google. And Google has definitely flattened off. And you can see that in the trend lines. And direct advertisers have suddenly kicked up in this last section here. And remember, they're almost crossed over back here. Well, sorry, they did cross over back there. But let's put them both on the same axes. We're using the right-hand axis there. And you can see just here, the direct advertisers have broken away once again. It'll be interesting to see whether they can actually climb up to the first half of the year type numbers, where Google is really flat down here. It jumped up, gone flat again, but direct advertisers are broken away. And that tells me the direct advertisers are starting to come back. So maybe those travel segments, those finance segments where people were borrowing money for investment purposes and everything, maybe that's beginning to kick in some parts of the world. Definitely when we see the COVID-19 numbers, it's quite frightening. And what is happening in Europe and North America, South America and other parts of the world and so forth. It really is. I'll say more on that shortly. But anyway, so what's the trend lines? And we can see overall, Google is slowly going up across the last 2 weeks. This is just is the line going up, is it going down? But the direct advertisers are going up more aggressively. And that's very clear from the numbers. All right, so percentage change or volatility. So where is that upward tick coming from? And you can see at the very end, we're looking at the very end there, and you can see there's actually direct advertisers, and direct advertisers really took a big swing up there as well. So if you don't have direct advertisers in your revenue mix, if you got everything, say, at a single parking company or something like that, well, to be quite blunt, you have to be insane to do that nowadays. All the parking companies are fantastic at what they do, but the maximum any of them win, we got all the data to prove, is about 20%. Now, I think it's about 20% now. I need to get up to date with my latest data after being away, but it's quite small. But they do well on that 20%. So what's going on if we freeze normalized RPM, like we looked at that previous chart at a baseline of 100% on January the 1st, where would they be? Nowadays, Google's really ramped up massively, as you can see. The normalized RPM, well, direct advertisers are quite small. In fact, they've declined overall still, but they are beginning to swing upwards. Yeah, so remember, both these charts are using the same left-hand axis in this case. All right, so a couple of things I want to highlight. Don't forget about Park Logic, and please reach out to us if you're doing any sort of meaningful numbers in your monetization. Let me tell you, I can just about guarantee that we'll do better than where you currently have your traffic. Next thing is my blog. Go to my blog. There's so much information. I've been blogging for well over a decade. Like, I think it's about 12 years now or something like that. There's a lot of information, a lot of good, interesting history as well is in the blog. So don't forget about that at michaelgilmore.com or WhizBang's blog. in the two. And masterclass lessons, mcl.club. Go to masterclass lessons. Even if you think you know everything about domain monetization, trust me, I bet you don't. I've been living, breathing, and eating it for almost 2 decades now. Yeah, so I would think you're going to find some really interesting things in there that could end up transforming your business. So I would highly recommend taking a look at that. I put my heart and soul into that particular project, and I think you'll find it really interesting. Yeah, so it's been really good being back on deck, I must admit, and I really enjoyed being here and doing my videos once again. And you'll see me as a regular commentator once again on the industry, and I'm always trying to add value. And I think we have a slogan, even for Masterclass Lessons, is we don't charge for any of those lessons, by the way, is it's our way of giving back to the industry. We all work in an amazing industry, and I find it's given me so much. And I just want to thank all those people who have contributed to my learning over the years. And I hope this video has really helped you out as well. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care. Bye. I hope you enjoyed that video and you find them really valuable for your business and helping you make better decisions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or pass the video on to your friends. Anyway, thanks a lot for that. Have a great day. Bye.